As of April 17, 2022, there are 51 volcanoes actively erupting on the planet. One of these erupting volcanoes is Karymsky in Russia, which has been continuously erupting since 2020. Its modern summit was constructed in the last 5,000 years as it was built in the middle of a 5-kilometer wide caldera which formed 7,700 years ago. With this being said, here are this week's major volcano-related news stories. On the uninhabited Australian Heard Island, thermal signals were detected on its edifice, potentially indicating a new lava flow. Meanwhile, in Iceland, a series of more than 700 earthquakes occurred on the Reykjanes Peninsula which may have been volcanic in origin. These quakes were all the more suspicious as they originated on a series of volcanic fissures with visibly young lava flows. And, in Alaska, the Mount Edgecumbe volcano, which is famous for its infrequent and large volcanic eruptions, produced a series of several hundred earthquakes. Mount Edgecumbe is located in far eastern Alaska, where it is centered 15 miles west of the city of Sitka. This volcanic complex covers the southern half of Kruzof Island, consisting of an area of approximately 100 square miles. Mount Edgecumbe falls into a group of highly dangerous volcanoes which lie dormant for hundreds to thousands of years only to reawaken and produce an eruption similar in magnitude to the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens. Thus, any seismic activity is unusual as typically this volcano is absent of earthquakes. This volcano began producing earthquakes only in 2020, which have been increasing in number ever since. Beginning on April 11, 2022, earthquake activity spiked to all-time highs and were centered adjacent to Edgecumbe's Crater Ridge caldera. These quakes range in depth from 1 to 6 miles and are aligned along a northeast trend of activity hinting at a potential magmatic origin. The possibility that it is magmatic is seemingly supported by ground deformation data. What you are looking at shows the change in ground level as measured between April 2021 and April 2022. Note how the landmass is essentially the same color, indicating no uplift with the exception of the Mount Edgecumbe complex. In total, the data seems to infer an uplift of 2 to 4 centimeters during this time span, suggesting a small accumulation of magma at depth. Do note that this data has not been independently verified, as it could theoretically be a false positive generated by varying levels of snowpack. Regardless, scientists are now keeping a very close eye on this highly dangerous volcano. In 2021, a new eruptive period began on the volcanic peninsula of Reykjanes in southwestern Iceland. What started with a swarm of several thousand earthquakes went on to produce the 6-month-long eruption of Geldingadalur, which ended on September 18th. However, since then the area has seen 2 highly energetic earthquake swarms. The one near Keilir was ultimately proven to not be volcanic in origin, but the quake swarm from December 2021 to January of 2022 was associated with a shallow intrusion of magma which only stopped 1,500 meters below the surface. We know that a large magma chamber remains at depth in the peninsula, situated at between 11 and 15 kilometers depth. This magma may have potentially triggered a new earthquake swarm which began on April 12th. Since then, a series of 700 earthquakes have occurred at shallow depths just northeast of the famous Blue Lagoon hot springs. These quakes occurred along a northeast trend, matching the shape of historical eruptions in this section of the peninsula. While earthquake activity was highest on the 13th, it has since declined. A secondary swarm occurred several kilometers to the northeast a few days later, but activity there has also waned. Although these quakes could technically be volcanic, overall signs are seemingly pointing towards them being tectonic in origin. Far away from the Australian mainland is the towering Big Bend stratovolcano, which stands at 2,745 meters or 9,006 feet tall on Heard Island. This volcano has produced frequent eruptions since it was discovered, the last of which occurred from 2012 to 2021, adding a new lava flow visible from satellite. Since then, no additional activity has occurred, but this may have changed. On March 27th, and then again on April 6th, 7th, and the 14th, a strong thermal signature was detected on Big Bend's summit. This could indicate that a new eruption has begun, but could also signal simply increased fumarole-related activity. Here is a quick list of every volcano which is currently erupting. Also, here are some volcanoes showing signs of unrest which could erupt in the near future. Thanks for watching. If you would like to request a specific topic, please leave a comment below. Additionally, I would like to thank my new patron Tim Reeves for supporting this channel.